It's a way to get into Tatum and what we expect in his second trip to the NBA Finals. Just quick, do we agree with that list? It was, in whatever order, Jokic, Doncic, Giannis, Embiid, and SGA. Do we agree with that list?
No.
Me neither.
I'm not putting Embiid in top 5.
Me neither.
This is my biggest takeaway from this is, and I tweeted this out earlier, like, you can talk about this like it's pure talent and ultimate talent, but at some point availability matters, and Jason Tatum plays more games and more minutes than anybody else in the top 5 or 6 if you want to throw them in there.
There's another way to ask it. Like, who would you rather start your team with, Embiid or Tatum?
Tatum.
Definitely Tatum.
Definitely. Like, I like taking Embiid over Tatum to me is insane.
And let me add, Embiid is awesome. Yeah. That's a callback to him.
There's another way to ask that, too.
Was he on his way, or is there a new sheriff in town? Those are two different things.
Okay.
I wish they hadn't, just completely abandoned the sheriff takes. We got one day of that.
Yeah, it was a good
I got no more
day,
sheriff talks. There was no more, lists of all the different sheriffs.
It was a strong day.
They, ride horses onto sets.
Like Damian Woody in a comically small cowboy hat.
So, I don't even know that SGA is ahead of Tatum for me. I don't think he is. I'd take Tatum over SGA. That doesn't mean Tatum should have finished ahead of him in, MVP vote or anything. But, who would I rather have? Who's a better player? Not who had a better season, but who am I taking and who's a better player? I'd take Tatum over SGA. And so the other three, fine. Tatum can prove a point. Let's see how he measures up against Doncic. Let's see, he's gone through Giannis in the past. So I think it can be Tatum's league. He's got to win, though. And if you want to put Giannis ahead of him because he's won, fine. And you want to put Jokic ahead of him because he's won, fine. And let's see who wins out of Doncic and Tatum, and they can be higher up in the pecking order. But, putting those other guys, Embiid and SGA, please.
One thing I'm hung up on, Arcan, did Lowe in that clip say that he voted for Tatum for All-NBA?
Yes. Yeah, but because Embiid didn't qualify.
Okay,
right.
But it's he's made All-NBA the last 3 years. That's all you need to know. Yes, that is a top 5 player. By definition, contractually, when you're looking at Supermax deals, that's a top 5 player, and you agreed with your vote.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. He didn't finish top 5 in MVP voting. Brunson was 5th. So I consider him better than Jalen Brunson. That's a different category than saying who's the better player,
who's
more
who had a better
valuable.
season.
I mean, I understand that. And I'd have Tatum above him. I'd have him above everybody other than Jokic, Doncic, and Giannis. I'd say those would be the 3, and I'd have him maybe tied with Giannis at this point and slightly behind Luka and Jokic. But that's it. I mean, I'd have him top 3 for sure.
Okay, what do we expect out of Tatum? He's back in the finals. I voice my concerns. We watched him fail on this stage last time he was here. And that doesn't mean he'll fail again, but it's relevant to bring up what he did in the NBA Finals last year. He turtled against the Warriors. They could have won that series. They should have won that series. They were up 2-1. They were up in Game 4. You lost on your home floor constantly to that Golden State team. So what did he learn? Is he better? How do you feel in his second chance back in the finals? Are you fully trusting of Jason Tatum?
It's hard to fully trust when you haven't seen them win it before, and it was tough last time. But coming off of the series that he and Jaylen Brown both had, there's a reason why it came down to a 5-4 vote in terms of the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I thought Jaylen was the right choice, but Jason Tatum statistically had a fabulous series overall. I feel like if he's in the finals, and sometimes his box scores are a little bit glossier than how his game actually is. But if his stat line is 27, 9 and 7 or something like that, around that ballpark, I feel like he gets finals MVP. The Celtics are in a great spot, and that's really all he needs to catapult himself to this next tier where you don't get takes like that Zach Lowe take on him.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him in this finals. And it's not because I think he's a bad player. It's just that he hasn't shot well at all in these playoffs so far. And I think eventually that comes back to bite you. I just don't think you can keep doing that. You can't keep shooting 44% from the field and 29% from three-point this whole time and not have that eventually come up and be a problem. So, I mean, listen, it wasn't a problem against the Pacers. It wasn't a problem against Cleveland or Miami without any of their best players. But I think if you're going head-to-head against two guys that are certainly one of them at the very least playing at the top of their game, you've got to be able to be more consistent than that.
The cautionary tale from 2 years ago, 2022, was the Warriors had the best player in that series. And right now, today, we think that Dallas has that as well in Doncic. Tatum, go ahead and change my mind. But we're all giving the nod to Luka there. And, you could have gone and looked at it. I'm sure we did, Arcan. I'm sure we drafted it in real time, and we're like, well, after Steph, how many Celtics are you taking? And it was the whole starting – you were taking all of them, basically, over Golden State's starting lineup. But then Wiggins had a monster finals, and Thompson finally started shooting by the end of the series, and Draymond got in their heads. And, even Kevon Looney had a big series, and it's like, okay, all these guys you didn't really respect had big series. And Curry, I think being the best player in that series, raised the rest of that team up. And so that's the cautionary tale for the Celtics. If Tatum can't match Luka, can Luka elevate the rest of that roster? And I'd probably take Kyrie as a number 2 over any of those guys that Golden State had in that series.
Yeah, I agree. But when you look at the supporting staff of the roster of Golden State that year, I feel like this Dallas staff is better. I feel like the what rounds out Dallas is stronger with the bigs that they have. I feel like, at least on paper, or maybe it's just this fantastic playoffs run that they're going through, Dallas, I look at that and I go, that feels stronger than that I felt about that Golden State team going in. And the other thing that was scary was looking at that matchup last time at the finals. Remember, the whole Celtics identity was oh, they are actually tough. They're a defensive-first team, and Ime Udoka is this hard-ass coach who calls them out in the middle of timeouts in front of everybody, and they're going to roll into this finesse game, Golden State. And then they looked soft as hell when they were in the finals. So there is a little bit of that where I'm I think I know who this team is, but I thought I knew that last time, and they really betrayed it.
No, it's fair. And even though Dallas might be a little better, the Celtics are a little better, there's really no excuse for the Celtics not getting it done. And the question is, can they get it done? Can Tatum rise to the moment?